Okay, Bodhisattvas, as you know, because I've been talking about it lately, I recently had the privilege and the blessing of helping to lead a couple 4 or 5 day Zen Buddhist retreats. Okay, so this threw me back in the thick of formal Zen practice, and have lived to tell about it. And one of the things I want to talk about today is enlightenment experiences or openings. A not insignificant number of people that I met with in our private Dokusan or practice discussions, not an insignificant number of people, which is to say a significant number of people, or a larger number of people than I had thought, have had these openings or enlightenment experiences. Some had them before they even knew what Zen was, and that led them to the practice. Some practiced for a little while and then had these enlightenment experiences. One person even had one at the retreat. So I want to talk a little bit today about enlightenment experiences, or these openings that we have sometimes. First off, what do I mean by enlightenment experiences or openings? I will just share with you some of the things that some of the people at these retreats told me. I'll shift some of the details. I obviously won't say anybody's name. I don't think I'm betraying anything private or something that I shouldn't report here, but I will shift around some of the details, and I'll try and just give you a flavor for the interaction, i.e. when they told me about these experiences. So at one of these retreats, a person came into the room, and right when they came in, I saw something in their affect. It was clean, and their affect was clean and clear and kind of like charged or ready to talk. Now, this person had been going into a nearby garden every day and had been surrounded by all the flowers. This is during the breaks at the retreat. And every day this person went and looked at the flowers and kind of like had what they described as a pseudo-Zen appreciation for the aesthetic beauty of a garden. So the way they described it was, I'd be looking at the flowers and be like, they're so beautiful, their colors are so bright, the shapes are so lovely. Now, on the particular day in question here, said Zen student went into the garden, sat down, took in a flower, and something else happened. And the way they described it was the floweriness or the flowerishness completely overwhelmed them. And that experience lasted for a few, maybe, I forget how long it was. The whole thing was maybe like 40 minutes. And this person said they had this, it was just like the boundary had fallen between them and the outside world. And at first it was amazing, this person said. And then it became really scary because the person thought, am I having a kind of schizophrenic breakdown? And that was followed by, back in the Zendo, this experience of suddenly being very vulnerable to like germs and bacteria and viruses or something. The person thought they were getting sick, right? So this was one experience that a person had. Another person told me they were at a Catholic church at a wedding, and on the walls of this Catholic church were the Stations of the Cross. This person had been raised atheist. They never got down with Jesus, okay? It was not in their experience or training or practice. Christianity was nothing to them. And so they were looking at these pictures of the Stations of the Cross and kind of judging it like, this Christianity is so violent. It's like they torture the Son of God and then they hang him on the cross, right? And he followed the pictures around the room and then looked above the altar and saw this Christ and had this opening. that they had never expected in a million years to have. And the experience was that figure, Christ, is upon the cross and dying for all of our sins right now. And it was a feeling of literally Christ is right now dying for all, not dying for all of our suffering. Christ not dying for our sins. That's not what it was. It was that Christ is suffering for all of us. Like a bodhisattva, a Buddhist bodhisattva or a saint. Christ is taking on all of our suffering. And this person said, I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this? I'm not a Christian. By then, this person had already been practicing Zen Buddhism. This strange experience around the Sacred Heart of Christ. And of course, this person then ran around asking Christians everywhere, do you folks have this same experience that I just had? You must all be having this. But then they found out, no, most people don't have that experience. So that's some kind of opening. I don't know what I leave that in your hands, let you make something of it. The third thing was an experience of emptiness, an experience of, how do we describe these things? Let's just call it an experience of boundaryless emptiness. And as the person was kind of coming out of that experience and trying to explain it to themselves later on, they found themselves thinking, it's not like it's an experience of nothing. It's more like when you have a huge pile of Legos on the ground and you can make anything out of it. It was an experience of pure potentiality, like cosmic potentiality. And I just remember, and like this description of like all this whole pile of Legos on the floor. And instead of it being like, chaos, or unformedness or something, it's pure potentiality. You can make anything out of those Legos. And this experience that he had of emptiness was the universe can make anything from this emptiness, this pregnant shunyata, or ground of being. So these are three examples, all three of them slightly different, that were experiences that people brought me during these retreats. A couple thoughts. First of all, I think these types of experiences are a lot more common than maybe those of us who have had them think. It's hard to give voice to these moments, these, transcendent moments, openings, enlightenment experiences. People, when you speak about them, it's like talking about a dream. People don't get it, they can't really appreciate it, and you always maybe sound a little bit crazy, and then the more you try and express the experience, the more you feel like you're becoming a salesperson for the experience, and the more you feel like you're sort of degrading it, or the more you feel like you're taking something that doesn't have a clear shape, and that the specialness of it, the specialness of it is it's not ordinariness. And the more you try and explain it to people, the more sort of ordinary it becomes. And the more either crazy it sounds, or the more you sound like someone who's trying to depict an enlightenment experience. And my interactions with these folks led me to believe that they just kind of wanted to share this with someone who might know what they're talking about. This is the privilege of being in my position and doing Dokusan with people. They bring you these gifts. So that's one thing. These experiences are common. 100% the case that most, if not everyone watching this video has had some version of an opening. Okay. Number two, these openings / enlightenment experiences are not like pure bliss all the time. So almost everybody who shared one of these experiences with me also showed me the flip side, which is that they kind of thought they were maybe going crazy, okay? They kind of thought they were maybe having some kind of mental, emotional breakdown of some kind. They were kind of a little bit unnerved by the experience to varying degrees, some more than others. Okay, so that's something that concerns people when they have and that's one of the reasons why I think some of these people brought them to me. I was explicitly asked, is this normal to have this kind of an experience? Like, am I okay? And my general response to that is, if you haven't had strong mental health issues in the past, and if there's not a history of this in your family, it's probably just you've had one of these experiences or one of these openings. So don't worry about it. It is normal. You're not crazy. But then what? What do you do with this? I was talking yesterday with my Zen friend about this. He's a teacher and an all-around wonderful man. And we were swapping stories about monks and students we had known back at our former monastery. And we both kind of concluded that these experiences can be a real trap. I'm telling you, like, they may not seem like such a big deal at first, but I have known Zen students who had these openings, big and little, and they were old men, and they had been chasing these experiences their entire damn lives. Okay? They missed their children growing up, they missed their grandchildren growing up, they missed career opportunities, they missed their lives because some part of them was so invested in the idea that some sort of spiritual experience had been visited upon them, and they needed to return to that Satori, return to that Kensho. And, they read hundreds of books and attended all kinds of different Buddhist retreats and dropped out of their lives and went to ashrams chasing Satori. These are like Satori chasers. So they get a little taste of something and they come back to their lives, and their lives aren't good enough for them anymore. And they bring that stuff into Sanzen koan interactions with the Rinzai Zen master, and they think they're getting somewhere. And you can tell, you can see these people, like, they have a look in their eyes when they see you. They're like, looking at you to see if you're on the same wavelength as them, like if you've had this experience too, and they come out of a retreat and they feel like they had some part of that former enlightenment experience awakened again, and they're like giving you this look like it's going to be coming, it's any day now, I'm going to have the real full Satori, I got back there, I got back to that amazing enlightenment moment, and people attach to it. Another experience that I've had around this is that someone has a little bit of an opening, and they run with it in an unhealthy way, and these are usually people that have had mental health issues or are having a kind of a breakdown, and that's a long, delicate type of thing that I'm not going to address here, but I have seen people mistake schizoid episodes, schizophrenic episodes, paranoid episodes, mental health episodes for enlightenment experiences. I had a really intense few weeks with a friend of mine at the monastery who was convinced that he was taking a quantum leap in his practice. And in fact, the whole matter was resolved by the person leaving the monastery and getting on some mental health medication, because I don't know what was going on. Sometimes the line between a breakthrough and a breakdown is not so clear. But in either case, my Zen friend and I concluded the best thing you can possibly do is just move on. Whether the experience was a great opening, whether the experience was a horrible opening, whether the experience was mixed, move on. Okay, and I'm going to explain a little bit about what happens when you don't in a bit here. But my friend said something that really struck a chord with me. Okay, let's see if I can remember it. He's working with a Rinzai Zen Buddhist teacher from Japan, a very old and wise teacher, I would say. And the teacher brought this topic up at one point. And the teacher somebody I think maybe had asked him about what do you do with an enlightenment experience? What do you do after it happens? And the teacher just laughed, and he said, just forget about it. Completely forget about it. Okay? He said, it's already working inside you. You don't have to do anything. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, you just forget about it. No matter how amazing it is, you just forget about it. It's already working on you, inside you. And I thought that's a beautiful instruction for what to do after you have one of these experiences. Just know that as you were visited by this experience out of the blue, the experience is now working inside you on its own, and you don't have to do a thing. And it's best that you don't do a thing. In my experience, these openings can happen at the beginning of your practice. You're so full of energy, and you're so full of hope and anticipation, and you're so fresh, and you're so open that when you practice intensely those first few years, maybe at some point in there something shifts. Your mindset is so used to being conventional, right? And there's a crack in it at one point, and the light shines through the big picture. You get a glimpse. This happens a lot. I've had a lot of people come to me and say this, and oftentimes it's a very sort of innocent and benign experience. Somebody just sees a squirrel, and for once in their life, they're not objectifying the animal. They're not objectifying like a tree or this guitar, but somehow they have an experience of meeting this world in a truly intimate way, and also in its otherness and its connection, I guess you could say. And there's this experience of the self and all the conventional trappings of the self dissolving for a few moments. My teacher would perhaps call this true love, or love without conditions or boundaries or personal hang-ups or clinging, right? People have these kinds of experiences of capital C connection early on in the practice. I had mine. I had a few, larger and smaller. And I remember, I think it was maybe after my first training season, I was really charged. Something was alive inside me, like a battery, like fully charged. And I felt, I don't know how to put it, but it was very powerful. And I remember I went to the airport, and it was very crowded, and there were all kinds of angry people in line. And it was like, I think it was at winter. I think I was flying to another Zen center for a retreat or something. I don't remember what it was. And I was standing in the line doing Zazen, just standing Zazen. And I was moving through the line, and it was really bad. I have never been around angrier airport people in my life. And the angrier they got, the more calm I got. And so that finally it was my turn to check in my bags and check in. And the person was so frazzled, the flight employee, the airline employee who was checking me in, and she was angry and she was mean. And I remember like putting my hands up on the counter and leaning forward and just giving her all the information and focusing on her, giving her the full blast of my attention, and knowing how to do it, and knowing how to connect with her the way I'd had these experiences of connecting in the Zendo, connecting with the posture when I was sitting, connecting with my teacher when I would shake his hand, connecting with the rake when I was raking. And I gave this full attention to her, and I remember she stopped, and she stumbled with her language a little bit, And then she started crying a little bit, and nothing was said, and we exchanged the information, and then she said, "You're the only person who has I forget what she said, like who has been a human being all day," is what she said, and her face was flushed. It was I don't know, it was strange. It was like someone else was inside her now, coming out through her face, and she was looking at me with these eyes, and then I just kind of walked away and left her sitting there. What else was I going to do? But it was an extremely powerful experience, and it made me realize how powerful this practice is and how it can be used to manipulate people, how it can be used to impress people, and then you can kind of get them to do things for you. I saw that all in that moment. I thought, this is how the gurus begin. They do some serious practice, and something shifts. And then they learn how to give that focus and attention to someone, that complete connection, and now the person is hooked. Now we got a cult. And you see these people all the time on YouTube. Start Googling it. Like they're young, blue-eyed, blonde-haired, handsome men. And they all talk the certain way, and they all have 50,000 followers and very lucrative Patreon pages and expensive clients, personal clients that they meet with. I mean, I'm thinking of one of them now. He's even like an Instagram guru. Like, I think these people, they have an experience of some kind. And instead of letting it go, letting it work on them, staying humble, they become gurus. And I think that's one of the dangers of these experiences, is that they can change you. And if you're smart, you can do stuff with them. And then you're freaking Charles Manson, like with your huge cult, Shakti potting. I think they call this a Shakti pot in some of the Hindu or Vedantic traditions. It's giving people a little hit of the divine. And like, make no mistake, this is not the Zen way. The Zen way is, as that teacher from Japan told my friend, you just forget about the experience, you get as humble as you can, and let the experience work on you. It's already working on you. And you just keep on doing your practice, which is to say, meeting your life, the mundane, normal aspects of your life with a complete heart. I mean, it means something that we're here in these human lives with bowel movements and drinking water and vegetables and various challenges. This is the existence that we've been given. There is no indication to me that we're supposed to come down here into these human lives and then our whole job is to transcend these human lives by striving after and chasing these Satori moments. When those moments come, they're a blessing. Sometimes they're a mixed blessing. But if you attach to them, problems can arise. I mean, at worst, you'll become one of these guys who's like doing satsang with like a bunch of young women, and then you've got like 13 wives, and you've got a $10 million in the bank account, and then somebody has an issue with how you're handling yourself, and pretty soon you're on page 3 of the New York Times. Guru arrested for like tax evasion and some sexual misconduct, right? Like, practice is a long haul. It takes place over many, many years. You have high points in your practice. You have real low points in your practice. You have a lot of people at these retreats I've been going to they're at their falling asleep stage in their practice. You have stages like that when every time you sit down to meditate, you just pass out. You have times where you sit down to do your zazen and all that's happening is your mind is screaming, screaming, screaming. You have other times where you're just bored as heck. Then you have times where there's something shifted, and you're having enlightenment experiences of some kind. You feel like a Buddha, you know? It's a long-term, lifetime practice, and I think it's a good idea not to get hung up at any one stage of it. Those are my thoughts. You can support this channel here at patreon.com/ShozanJackHobner. That's patreon.com/ShozanJackHobner. You can also support this channel in the video description. There's a PayPal link there. Once again, I cannot possibly say how grateful I am to have people supporting this channel, which is your support helps me live. I couldn't pay my bills without it. I'm at that point with your support, so it's just like a trust fall. I feel like I'm trust falling into your arms, and it means a great deal to be able to receive your support. So thank you. And if you can't, don't worry about it. People send me messages sometimes and they feel guilt. Don't feel guilt. Other people are supporting it, and they're doing it for you. So, and I'm grateful to them. And that's all I got to say, my friends. Catch you on the flip side, little bodhisattvas.